backseat girl with the radio on. I am Mr. Fire. I want to feel the rolling off our bodies in the mix of a heat. The way we move to our favorite song is a backseat girl with the radio on. Is a backseat girl with the radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Move That Mountain, where we try to bring on guests who are doing exciting things in their lives and finding solutions to problems and getting ahead in life in a positive way. So this is what we're doing. And today I have a very exciting guest with me. This young man, I call him young man because I'm much older than he is. But he's a globe traveler, very focused. He's been in this business for as long as he's been living practically, from the age of 6. Exciting personality to see him on stage, but also a very humble person at the same time. And the reason why we have him on this show is because I like you to see somebody who has figured it out at an early age and doing it in a very positive way and making friends everywhere he goes. He's a dancer, he's a singer, he's an actor, he's a composer, extremely talented and gifted. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome A.J. Davis. A.J., man, it's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Oh, man, my pleasure, man. So, all the way from Indiana.
Yeah.
Maryville,
Indiana, which is, most people don't know where Maryville is.
How far is that from the Holiday Star Theater?
Actually, that was in Maryville.
I did a show there.
They closed it down. They closed it down.
I remember doing shows there, yeah.
So for everybody else, Maryville is literally 5 minutes from Gary, Indiana, and 45 minutes from Chicago.
Yeah. So Indiana, huh?
Yeah, Indiana.
Born and raised early years in Indiana.
Yeah.
Man, so, this is what I really like AJ, okay? Very, very cool, humble guy, but you started in Indiana.
Right.
And the journey started there.
Yeah.
From birth, but you were doing music from the age of 6. You were involved in the arts. Mm-hmm. To now, you're living in New York City. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's quite a journey in itself. Mm-hmm. And in between all that, a lot of exciting things happen to your life. But let's start with the beginning, because that to me is where it all started. I mean, so tell me about that.
So, Maryville, Indiana, I grew up in church, singing in church with, different choirs. Then went to high school, performed all throughout high school, and then eventually got a scholarship to Indiana State University, and I majored in music business administration. So literally from the age of 4, 5, 6 years old to 18, I performed all throughout that time.
And you made it sound so weird, I grew up, I got a scholarship, and now, there was work involved in that.
There's a lot of work that was involved, right?
Yeah, so what I like, and I want to also talk about here is that nothing really happens by just random chance. You have to work at it and prepare for it. And what I found amazing about you is your mental preparation. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite sure you got that from your parents.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting them.
And they're nice people.
They seem to be all right. Nothing strange.
Nah. Right.
But so you had a lot of nurturing with that, but you earned a lot of that through your hard work. Mm-hmm. The scholarship just didn't come by accident. No. I mean, so how did you go from singing around the house is where it all starts, then your church, your first public exposure, doing that. How did you decide, or how did it happen that it went from just something you did to a life, a career? I mean, how did that?
So, throughout middle school and high school, I sang in choirs, I was in band, I was in theater, and while I was in high school, I actually auditioned and got the part of a musical called Ragtime. Mm-hmm. And that musical kind of set me up in a way to where, going forward, it kind of, when I did the musical, I was like, you know what, I think I kind of want to do this for the rest of my life. Like,
what role did you play?
I played Cole House Walker Jr. He's the lead role in the show. And my theater teacher literally came to me before auditioning, and she was like, I kind of think you would be great in this role. Mm-hmm. And she gave me the music, and I listened to it, and I kind of like the guy's voice type and my voice type kind of were similar.
You heard yourself.
So yeah, and I auditioned for the show and I got the part. And the interesting part about it is we did the production. It did very well, but I told you I went to Indiana State University. Mm-hmm. Well, in high school they have they have conferences at different colleges. And when we were at a theater conference that happened to be held at Indiana State University. So what ended up happening was we went down there for the conference. I talked to the theater director there, and they knew that I was interested in going to Indiana State. And what I ended up doing was, after they interviewed me, we had like this little sit down time where like all these theater kids were all in the same area, and we decided to sing something from Ragtime. So I was like, I'm going to use this to kind of set things up in a different way for myself. I'm going to sing something from Ragtime, but I know also all the theater directors are in the room. So everyone was watching me at this point in time.
A calculated move. Huh?
It was strategic. We didn't have to sing something from that show, but I was like, let me just.
You stood out.
Yeah, let me just show what
you weren't doing that. You stood out.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up getting a scholarship. Is that not only did they talk to me, but they also got to see what I can do as well.
But I'm gonna go back a little further.
Okay, go back.
You know the stage door mama and all that stuff of pushing their kid into things. Were you pushed into these artistic endeavors from an early age, or did you gravitate to them yourself? Some kids, the parents recognize a talent and they stick them in this audition, stick them in that audition. You got 10 different rehearsals to do in a day, to the point where there's nothing else. Were you pushed, or did you take the lead?
I was actually encouraged not to. It was definitely a me thing. I definitely, since I was a kid, I just loved music. I loved being on stage. And take that back, not encouraged not to. It's just that, being in entertainment, it's a tricky field. And,
people don't always see it as business.
Right,
they see it as a plaything.
Yeah. So, so I actually, it was kind of a me thing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue this for myself and enjoy it. And like, my parents are the most supportive people in the world. So,
but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What was the first piece of art, music, or something that made you sing or just do? Everybody has something when they were a kid that they saw something and they started singing along to it or doing it. You can remember any of those things?
So my earliest memory singing would have to be at my grandmother's church. It wasn't even the church that I grew up in. It was her church, and they wanted somebody to sing a solo, and I was maybe 3 or 4 years old.
You remember what you sang?
I do not. I do remember songs later on, but my first solo I don't even remember. I do remember having a mic in my hand.
Do you remember how you felt?
I felt great. It felt amazing. It was everything that I like to feel now.
I'm asking to see. It's that first seed that was planted. You heard a mustard seed, very tiny, but it grows into this huge tree.
Yeah.
But it's always how you first begin something that sort of like set the stage for the rest of your life, where you go with it.
Yeah.
So I was just curious about the early AJ.
Yeah.
The kid that had no clue this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about you that has struck me since I've met you. Most people have what you call a monthly calendar. You have what I call a life calendar. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not planning by week, you're planning a life. Yeah, I'm quite sure somewhere in your apartment there's this little makeshift calendar that says, in the year of this, I want to be here by then, I want to do this by, and it's not a weekly or monthly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you strike me as that kind of a person. And so much so that, we got the childhood, we got a scholarship, you did those things.
Mm-hmm.
But then you went on and you did something even interesting.
Yeah.
You took a huge leap of faith.
Yeah.
Leaving Indiana to come to New York City.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me about that one.
So I was doing a show in Colorado, and my cousin calls me. He's like, "Hey, I just graduated graduated college, and I was doing a show in Colorado. I moved there for a couple months, and my cousin called me. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing after this show's done?
Mm-hmm.
I have an apartment in New York for the year," because he would go back and forth between LA and New York.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "I'm going to be in New York for this year. You can come here and see if you like it." So I ended up getting done with that show, driving from Colorado back to Indiana, dropped my car off, packed 2 suitcases in a backpack, and then got on a flight and went straight to New York.
Now, did you have any contacts in New York when you got as far as the arts?
I had my cousin. At that point in time, I had my cousin, maybe a couple people that I've met along the way, but primarily it was my cousin at that point. That's all I knew. And the goal was to come to New York and audition and see if I was going to like being in New York.
So what was the first breakthrough in New York that you got?
So, funny thing is, right before that move happened, I actually happened to contact a theater that was doing The Wiz, and we were in contact and trying to figure out, if I would. They actually wanted me for the show, but they wanted to see me in person first. I talked to them online. They had seen my videos, and they were like, "Are you going to ever be in New York?" And I'm like, "I actually am going to be in New York in a couple of weeks when I get done with this contract." And they ended up having auditions in New York. So the moment I got to New York, maybe a week or 2 later, I found out that I was going to be doing The Wiz.
People live here all their lives. They work their behinds off trying to get one little audition. This guy comes here from Indiana, and within a short span of time, he has the American dream unfold in front of him. What's the audition process like, really, in New York City? So, for those who don't know, who are trying to break into the scene, what is it like to try to break that invisible curtain?
So it can be hard. There are different ways of doing auditions. There is the calls where everyone shows up, they stand in line, they sign up, and then they wait around all day long just to be seen. Sometimes you're not seen. I was lucky because this is also something that people don't know. So there's non-union work. I think all of this is professional work, but there's non-union work and there's union work. And then there's what happened to me. It was called equity membership candidate. So there's equity. Okay, but if you're working in certain theaters, in certain regional theaters, you might get points towards being actors equity. And this theater that I was working at was Main State Music Theater, music or musical theater, one or two. And that's where The Wiz was going to be. And they gave me my it's called the EMC card, Equity Membership Candidate. So I've always been able to have there's everyone shows up for auditions, and then sometimes you have another list that's equity membership candidate. I was in that list, so I always, for the most part, got seen for most auditions because I was a candidate to be equity.
So it pays to do the small theaters and build up your resume so you can get this. So, there's a method to that, But so you got this role, and you toured around the world with this. So
that was not a tour. That was
okay.
That was in Maine, from I'll say the summer of 2011. It was all of that summer I was there.
We're talking about all the things done. You haven't seen him do anything right now. So I want you to see AJ in action, okay? I mean, he does a lot of cruise ships. And he had a show called Legacy in Concert. Legacy in Concert, and he was aboard a cruise ship with 2 or 3 other very talented young men. And you get to see, when AJ goes out front and does a solo, that's when you see the real AJ. So you have the chance to see him right now. Okay, so take a look.
Everybody get on your legs and shoes. Rockin' rhythmically. Let's kick it off with the domino then.
60-minute man, 60-minute man. Look here, girl, I'm telling you now, they call me loving dad. I'll rock 'em, roll 'em all night long. I'm a 60-minute man. If you don't believe I'm all that I say, come up and take my hand. When I let you go, you cry. Oh yes, he's a 60-minute man. If you owe
many treating you right. Come up and see old Dan now. Rock 'em, roll 'em all night long. I'm a 60-minute man. Oh, I'll rock 'em, roll 'em all night long. I'm a 60-minute man.
So now AJ's the kind of guy that, while some people are happy to be in one show and excited they're in two shows, he goes on automatic when he goes to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 shows. And he's been doing that consistently for the last several years. In 2021, the very first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade after the pandemic, post-pandemic, guess who was in that? Prime time in a barbershop quartet a cappella section and singing bass. So if you can go to YouTube and look up that section where he's in the barbershop quartet, you'll see AJ on the Macy's Day Parade, big as life. And one of the things, now he's in several shows at the same time. He happens to be in a show I have. He was in another show, and he's in this show. What can I tell you? You're probably seeing the clips I'm talking about, but where he does his signature dances. He's just incredibly gifted at that. How he doesn't hurt himself, I don't know. But he's got these gifts, But 7 to 8 shows, how do you put your mind in that place? Because there's a lot of studying involved. Each show, you have to learn whatever part they gave you and get there and hit the ground running. There's no much time to rehearse, because you perform with other people who know the rest of the show already, and you have to be the next cog they drop in. How do you set your mind in that place so that you arrive ready to roll? How do you do that?
In a weird way, I slow everything down in my head. So, I kind of compartmentalize. So, like, say for instance, I'm learning one song for this one show, but this song is also in 4 or 5 other shows, but different parts.
Right.
So I'll learn that part, and then it stays in my brain. Like, I'll rehearse it, and then once it's there, I can move on to the next part, learning this. And I accidentally did it 7 or 8 different times. So it's just like I slow everything down in my brain and just I'll rehearse it.
The Matrix.
It's like a Matrix, I didn't plan to do that. It just kind of happened that way. I planned to do one show, and then me doing that one show, I ended up meeting people in other shows while I was still doing that first show.
Got another thing for you. Now, here's the thing: when you're as talented as you are, everybody wants a piece of your talent to be in their show, and it's easy sometimes to have your entire life occupied by what everybody else wants you to do because of your gift, to the detriment of who you are and what you want to be. How do you find time for the AJ project?
I'm learning that as we speak, actually. I've recently, tried to give myself more time for me, instead of just, doing everything, doing me in all of these shows. So I'm taking a step back on certain things, and I'm giving myself more time.
You're now not jumping at every opportunity because you don't have to anymore.
Right.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Because there's the old thing of, you could either be the guy putting the luggage in somebody's vehicle, you could be the guy getting the hitch and the ride in the back seat, you could be the guy reading the map for the driver, you could be the guy just driving the owner of the car. But when you have your car, so in your car, you got an engine in it yet? You got wheels on it yet? Did you build it?
It's almost done. The wheels are almost there. It's like it has 3 wheels. The 4th wheel it'll be put on like next week or something like that.
When this one, I'll be a buster on the side riding my best friend's car. So you did all these shows, and that's been exciting. Now you're a world trekker because you're on Facebook. If you follow AJ Davis on Facebook, you ought to. It's like Where's Waldo Pepper kind of thing. Where's Waldo? You're on a cruise ship here. You're in the Mediterranean here. You're there. Your feet are up in some tropical island. You're in the middle of the Alpines, skiing somewhere. You're all somewhere. So, I mean, what's your favorite? What are some of your favorite destinations? Do you have one yet, or
I have
a couple?
I have a couple for different reasons. One of the best places that I've been to, or the most interesting places, was Tokyo. Tokyo, Japan.
That's a good place. I like Tokyo.
I love going to the Netherlands, Amsterdam.
Yeah,
I love
that
going
too.
there.
You been in Norway yet?
I have been to Norway.
I love Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did a tour in Norway
cool.
in, I want to say, December of 2016.
So you went to Bergen.
I did.
Oh yeah,
I
cool
did.
town, eh?
Yeah, it's a cool country. I would suggest going in the summer and not the winter like I did.
I went there. I told my friend, I said, "Listen, I'm coming in the spring. I have no interest."
Yeah.
I went to Sweden in the dead of winter one time, and I was so depressed. I told him I'm coming in the springtime. So we spent 2 weeks with my daughters when they were kids. My wife and I, our girls were really young, and we spent 2 weeks in Norway, going all over the place. It was fantastic. I mean, there's so much to talk to you about. But let's talk about something that. What's on the horizon? There's a rumor out there that you might be headed on the big right way to Broadway.
That rumor is correct. That rumor is correct. I have a show that potentially, actually no, it's not potentially. The show's called Rock and Roll Man, and it's going to open at New World Stages in June. It's an off-Broadway contract, and it's open-ended, and it's something that I've known about for a long time, and the fact that it's actually getting a New York home is going to be an amazing thing for me.
Well, I'm going to confess something.
Yeah.
I kind of knew about it. I had a spy.
Oh, that was spy. Yeah, the
in room,
spy.
and they filmed you actually singing a song that you may be doing in it.
Oh.
And so I'm going to surprise you with that little clip. Okay, I had somebody sneaked into the room.
I didn't know.
Let's run that clip. Let's run that clip. Now, with all these wonderful opportunities that come your way and that you've successfully navigated, we're in a subjective business, where it's all about being accepted, and because that's what it's about. We audition for part, we want to get it. We don't get it because somebody doesn't like something about you. They're attacking, I wouldn't say attacking, but they're actually hitting on who you are. And to be told who you are is not something that they want. That's the positive, negative side of the coin. And sometimes you meet some really downright people that don't even give you a chance to show what you do. Have you faced rejection in what you've attempted to do? And how quickly do you rebound?
Oh, if you're going to face rejection, it's going to happen.
That's the
you're not going to book every show. You're not going to things are not always going to go your way. For the amount of shows that I've been in, I probably have auditioned for 3 or 4, maybe 5 times as many of those shows.
Now let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Has someone ever outright to your face told you what you're doing is not acceptable? Have that happened to you? Have that happened to you directly? Not later you get a message saying I'm sorry, not using, but right to your face.
Rejection, yeah.
Rejection.
That's happened in auditions.
How did you rebound from that? Because that's important. A lot of people out here, they fall apart and never come back to themselves or try again. And what would you say to someone like that?
I meditate a lot. I keep myself around positive people. Some that are in entertainment, some that are not. People that are actually going to tell me the truth, and not sugarcoat things with me. But honestly, just like keeping positive people around me, and just trying to, and also reminding myself, hey, listen, things are not always going to go your way. But even though something doesn't go your way, doesn't mean that was the right thing for you. It might not have been the right thing for you. What's meant for you will be meant for you. And the things that are supposed to happen will happen for you. So you can't allow something like that to destroy who you are on the inside, because you're you on the inside. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So you're not a one-trick pony?
Not a one-trick pony, no. Yeah, but I definitely mean that. Like, as in if something is for you, it's going to work out for you. If you put the time and effort towards it, it's going to work out for you.
So now going back to the AJ that is AJ Davis.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm quite sure you're going to blow up on Broadway when it happens. the thirst. There's a thing I call it thirst. When you open a door to something that who you are, and you get to that moment where you have to be you. Have you gotten that thirst yet, where you finally see you and you've aimed at, you were capable of doing anything, and that's always going to be a pull against you because everybody's going to want a piece of AJ to do this role, that role, do that spin for me, do this, come in my show, come on my show. AJ Davis, the name of the marquee.
That is something that I plan on focusing on for the next, so I talked about Rock and Roll Man. That'll be the first time in 12 years that I'm going to be doing one show and not have I have so much more free time in my brain to give to other things that I want to do for myself. So that's kind of the plan for the next year or two, or however long, is maybe put out my own project. Maybe.
So will you come back?
Yeah.
When that door is open and you're in it, will you come back and do another interview?
I mean, we can definitely talk about it.
I'm looking forward to talking about that.
All right.
AJ Davis.
Yeah, all right. Hey, thank you for having me on the show.
Man, my pleasure, bro.
Absolutely.
Go see him.
I love you. I know you love me too. But time and kids and all of life's little pressures that cut between us and our own simple pleasures. There's no denying we've been out of step, a little off center and out of breath. I do believe somehow between us two we can find a space for me and you. Girl with the radio on. Oh, I like it. No need to fool around and useless regret. Put them behind us, all and pledge to forget. And when we reminisce in days of old, it's to remind us that we still got that soul. Don't need no brand new lover, can't take that stress. Just wanna dance with my girl in her favorite dress. No telling where we'll end up once in the car. Put on the cruise control and see just how far. Oh, I miss the fire, I love the feel. Straight rolling off our bodies in the mix of the heat. The way we move to our favorite song in the backseat, girl with the radio on.